I've managed to spot Kendra Morgan. Kendra's actually the curator who's put together the exhibition that's running at the same time at Heidi. Of course, Mirka is extremely famous for being a close friend of the founders of Heidi, John and Sunday Reid. Let's see what Kendra has to say about Mirka's work. Excuse me, Kendra, have you got time? Hello. Sorry to interrupt. Gurry Girl needs to know, how's the exhibition going at Heidi?
The exhibition is going really well at Heidi. We've had record attendances because, of course, Mirka has such popular appeal with the public. Yeah, she's a Melbourne treasure.
She is. Tell me, what do you love most about the show at Heidi?
Well, the show is based on Mirka's friendship with John and Sunday Reid, who were the founders of Heidi Museum. And Mirka met them soon after she arrived from Paris in 1951 and knew them until they died in 1981 when Heidi was established. So it was a really long friendship. And they had holiday houses together at Aspendale. And many of, across the years, Mirka made many drawings and paintings for the Reids and gave them. And a lot of those works are on show in the exhibition. And a lot of them relate to those holidays at Aspendale and have a really personal take. Little messages inscribed on them about dramatic dinner parties and, you know, great events. So
there is a recurring theme that I keep hearing about Mirka at dinner parties. What's the naughtiest story you've heard at Heidi?
Oh, well, I don't know about naughtiest stories at dinner parties, but the first time that I met Mirka, I was wearing, like you tonight, I thought I'll wear something colourful because I knew Mirka would like that, and I had a silk skirt on. And she said, "Oh, darling, this is a beautiful skirt. Let me see the lining." And the next minute it was above my head. So
that's our girl.
It's my own naughty story. I was Mirka'd very early on.
Yeah. Tell me, from a collector's point of view, if you were going to collect a Mirka, is there more value in collecting a painting, a drawing, a work on paper? What would you advise collectors?
I would advise to collect the work you like the most. Absolutely. Yeah. And I would do the same. You just go for the work that you like. I mean, it's hard not to enjoy any of Mirka's works. They're very beautiful, colourful. They have a lot of human spirit in them. And, you know, they speak from the heart. So I would follow your own heart in making your decision. Yeah.
Now, I always thought the birds were just beautiful birds, but Mirka informs me they're all penises. Was that something you were aware of?
I'm sure she's having you on.
No, she told me it's since the day of mankind, artists have shown penises as birds.
Well, if you talk to Mirka at different times, she will tell you different stories and interpretations about the work, but the bird is a recurring symbol in her work, and it has many connotations. You know, birds are nurturing, they look after their young, they often are symbolic of journeys. Yes. They often metamorphose in her work to other kinds of animals because she makes these beautiful hybridized, fantastical animals, and a lot of her imagery, you know, comes from her dreaming, her daydreaming and her imagination.
Yes.
Yeah. She went to a very experimental theatre school in Paris as a young woman, and they were trained to kind of meditate and take their imagination on a journey. Yes. And she still does that, and a lot of her imagery comes from it. So,
and that playfulness, I can never get over how she just plays with us with each of the works. There's a real childlike humour through all the works, isn't there, as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a big part of it. You talk to her, and the childlike innocence is part of her. You know, she often says that she lost a little bit of her childhood because she was in the Holocaust. You know, she narrowly avoided with her family being sent to Auschwitz. And so her work recaptures that kind of innocence of childhood which she's always seeking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We can't wait to get out to Heidi.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for talking, Andy.
Managed to grab Laura, who's quite well known in the Melbourne art scene for being a really savvy collector. Laura, what do you think of the exhibition tonight?
I just think it's absolutely wonderful, and Mirka just produces the most outstanding pieces of work. They're just so gorgeous, the colour, the content, just the way she structures them, and I just think it's gorgeous.
What do you like about it?
All of those things. And I like that she's very consistent with a lot of the symbolic imagery that she uses, the angel, the Viking horns, the snake, just it's all beautiful.
There's a lot of really serious, heavy art personalities here. I've managed to spot Max Delaney. Let's see if we can corner him. He's from Monash. He really knows his art stuff. Excuse me, Max. Hello.
Hi.
Andy Tynan, Gurry Girl. How are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Hey, what do you think of the show?
It's superb.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's characteristically poetic, It's got a beautiful touch. There's a history of art and a history of literature and poetry.
Yes.
And it's a very sensitive work.
How does it stand up with the now? That's what I'm always being told, that institutions will only collect of the now. Is this of the now?
I think Mirka's work is both, very personal and idiosyncratic, and it's keyed into a really huge history both in her own work. What's really interesting is that she's also really enjoying exploring painting as a medium. It's really beautiful to see, works on paper which is so carefully, thought through and actually operate as paintings. So, they're very, really compelling paintings.
They're very resolved, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are.
And are you a painting or a work on paper man? Or a canvas or a work on paper man?
I'm an interdisciplinary person. I love all sorts of media.
You're a diplomat. If you could have one Mirka Mora, would you have a sculpture? Would you have a doll? Would you have a canvas? What would your choice be?
I'm fortunate from many years ago to already have two Mirka Moras.
What have you got?
My daughter has a teddy bear, and my other daughter has a landscape painting. So, but I also really love the way that her work engages with, her own collections and her own history and her interest in certain mythological, stories. And she's a great provocatrice, I think, in her own character, a great legend. And her work also has a great sensitivity and touch,
Now, for the punters out there, because you go to everything, you're at every opening, you see so many exhibitions. For the punters out there who are collecting, can you tell us, what should we be buying? Who are the young artists that you reckon, if you had maybe only $5,000 a month, what would you tell them to buy?
I don't know if I can recommend what to buy, but I can certainly recommend being intrepid. And so people need to get a feeling for what's on the ground, both in commercial galleries, in independent artist-run spaces, in contemporary art spaces, to become familiar with different contexts, get a feeling for what people, like and believe in, and do some research, speak to artists, and so that's probably the way to go.
He's so diplomatic. So what do you love about the art world at the moment? What are you loving in contemporary art?
I actually like the idea that there might be some change afoot, and even people grappling with the world around them. It's quite a fascinating time politically, financially. Some really interesting younger artists doing, new things, different ways of communicating. Some really nice things on the ground, but also some really great artists who've been working for a long time, making their best work. So
you still get excited when you're going to shows and with what you're seeing?
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully always learning new things.